Welcome to Southwest History, where epic adventure meets the raw, arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore rugged landscapes, uncover hidden treasures, and dive into the deep history and rich culture that define this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest history adventures and travel guides. Let's embark on a journey together into the heart of Southwest history. Relax and enjoy. In the wild, untamed hills of the American West, where gold glitters like the promise of a new life, a curse lingers in the shadows. A curse that has claimed the lives of the boldest adventurers and turned the dream of sudden riches into a nightmare. But what if the pursuit of wealth wasn't just a journey to riches, but a journey to ruin? In this video, we unravel the tragic stories of those who sought gold in the mountains, only to find that fortune's favor can be as deadly as it is sweet. From the meteoric rise of Horace Tabor to the haunted legacy of Henry Comstock, these are the tales that history often forgets, but we bring them back to life. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear isn't just the story of gold. It's the story of ambition, tragedy, and the price of chasing fortune. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more Southwest gold stories. Relax and enjoy. In the heart of the Rocky Mountains, the shimmering promise of gold lured men into the wilderness, each one driven by the dream of sudden riches. Old prospectors spoke of a curse that accompanied the gleam of gold, of men who struck it rich, only to lose everything in a whirlwind of madness and despair. One such tale is that of Horace Tabor, a man who, like many others, tasted the sweet nectar of fortune only to find it soured with tragedy. It was in Leadville, Colorado, that Tabor's luck turned. With a single gold strike, he was catapulted from poverty to unimaginable wealth, his hands no longer stained with the dirt of hard labor, but instead heavy with riches. A seat in the United States Senate was but a token of his newfound power, and the Grand Theater he built in Denver, the Tabor Grand, became a symbol of his triumph. Yet as he stepped into that lavish theater on its opening night, a figure appeared from the shadows to remind him of the curse that always follows fortune. A crone, bent and wild-eyed, grabbed Tabor by the arm. She cursed him for abandoning the woman who had stood by him through the years of hardship, and with a voice that cracked like dry twigs, she foretold his end. "A year from today," she shrieked, "you will be dead and buried in a pauper's grave." Her words hung in the air like a death knell. Little did he know, those words would prove to be more than just the ravings of a madwoman. They would be the tragic prophecy of his fall. As Tabor's wealth grew, so did his extravagance. He lavished money on anything that caught his eye, building his grand theater, hosting lavish parties, and embracing a life of luxury. But on that fateful night, as he strode toward the private box that awaited him, the witch's prophecy echoed in his mind. Her bony fingers had dug deep into his soul, leaving a mark that would never fade. Her eyes, wild with fury, had pointed to the painted ruins on the theater curtain, ancient and crumbling, a symbol of the fleeting nature of all things. "So pass the works of men," the motto read, "back to the earth again." Ancient and holy things fade like a dream. It was a warning, one that Tabor could not shake. But in his arrogance he brushed it off, thinking himself untouchable. Little did he know, the very next year, he would be the one to fade into the earth, his riches gone, his reputation shattered, his life a mere whisper of a dream. He died in poverty, a pauper's grave as the witch had predicted. Not far from Tabor's downfall, another tale of tragedy unfolded in Nyhart, Montana. The American Zinc Company had staked its claim on a rich deposit of silver ore, expecting a fortune to come rolling in. The deposit was wide and promising, 200 feet of silver-bearing rock that should have made them untold riches, but the story behind its discovery was far darker. Two men, Dick Heidenreich and Peter Erickson, were the ones who found the silver, but they weren't typical prospectors. Both were inmates of the state insane asylum at Warm Springs. These were the men who stumbled upon one of the richest veins of silver ever discovered. A chilling superstition surrounded the find. The discoverers of hidden treasures were doomed to misfortune, their lives touched by violent death or insanity. The curse that followed these silver seekers was no different. Their discovery, once hailed as a stroke of fortune, turned to dust as their lives were consumed by tragedy and madness. The shadow of misfortune haunted their every step, as it had with so many before them. The hills of Montana held more stories of cursed fortunes, and none was more striking than that of Last Chance Gulch. In 1864, a group of prospectors down on their luck stumbled upon a gully that seemed to promise gold. They were ready to give up and head home when they decided, for one last time, to cast their fates into the hands of fortune. They sank a shaft in the creek bed and struck gold, $20 million worth in just 4 years. However, of the 4 men who discovered this fortune, 3 died penniless, their bodies forgotten by time. Only one of them, Reginald Stanley, lived to an old age, comforted by the fortune he had once touched. The others? Their names were lost to the winds, swallowed by the same greed that had first driven them into the hills. Another tragic tale arose from the famous Alder Gulch in Montana, where Bill Fairweather and his companions discovered a gold stream that would yield $100 million in gold. Yet, despite the immense fortune he unearthed, Bill Fairweather lies in an unmarked grave in Virginia City, Montana, surrounded by the ghosts of his own dreams. Of the 6 men who initially discovered the gold, only one would leave with anything to show for it. Fairweather's life, like so many others, was consumed by the same forces that had first drawn him to the hills: greed, speculation, and a thirst for riches that could never be quenched. His grave, unmarked and forgotten, stands as a testament to the fleeting nature of wealth and the fate that often accompanies those who chase it. Among the most infamous tales of the Western Gold Rush is the story of Henry T.P. Comstock, whose name is forever tied to the Comstock Lode. The lode, one of the richest silver-bearing veins in history, produced more than $350 million in silver and gold. But behind the wealth was a tragedy far darker than any treasure. Comstock, who had no claim to the land, managed to insert himself into the story of the discovery. He was a man of quick wit and even quicker talk, manipulating circumstances to his advantage. The true discoverers, Hosea and Alan Grosh, had tragically died, leaving Comstock with a claim he could not have earned through hard work. Comstock's rise to prominence was swift, but so was his fall. Like so many others, he was consumed by the same vices that had plagued the other gold seekers. A man who had once walked in the shadow of death now found himself in its embrace. He spent his wealth recklessly, and when the gold ran dry, so did his luck. Henry Comstock's life, much like the others, spiraled into madness as his fortune vanished. He sold his stake in the Comstock Lode for a mere $11,000, a pittance compared to the fortune it would later yield. From there, he drifted, his once brilliant mind consumed by the weight of failure and despair. He moved north, hoping to strike it rich again, but the gold eluded him. His prospects grew dimmer, and his health deteriorated. He spent his final years in a haze of drunken stupors and unfulfilled promises. The man who had once been a symbol of the gold rush's triumphs now ended his life in an unmarked grave, a shadow of the man he had been. The stories of these tragic figures are but a handful of the many who sought wealth in the unforgiving hills of the West. For every fortune made, there were countless others lost. Gold and silver, once the promise of a better life, turned into chains that bound these men to their fate. Their stories are reminders of the curse that haunts all who chase fortune in the wild, untamed hills. For in the end, the mountains claim more than just their riches. They claim the lives of those who dare to dream too big. And as their bones rest in forgotten graves, their names fade into the dust of the past, swept away by the winds of time. From the peaks of ambition to the depths of despair, the stories of these gold seekers remind us that not all riches come without a price. What began as a dream of fortune ended in tragedy. Their names now whispered in the winds of history, forgotten by most, but not by us. We've witnessed the rise and fall of those who thought they could conquer the mountains, only to be claimed by the very riches they sought. Their stories are a testament to the cost of greed and the unforgiving nature of the land. So, the next time you hear of a golden dream, remember, it's not always the treasure that matters, but the journey and the price you pay for it. Thank you for joining us on this tragic adventure through time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who need to hear these stories. And if you want more tales from the past that reveal the price of fortune, be sure to stay tuned for our next chapter.